Come on, can we give it up for all the dads in the room, all the fathers today? Happy Father's Day. And here's what I know about this day. You don't have to be a physical father of biological kids to be celebrated today, because you have probably at some point in your life you've had influence in other people's lives, and maybe you've been a dad or a spiritual father to somebody along the way. There's so many different variations, and so we just honor all of our fathers today on Father's Day. We're excited that you're here, and I want to do this. We're going to give away. We've got a gift card here. Come on, anybody like gift cards? Some people, when you ask them, our kids here lately, whenever you ask them, what do you want for your birthday? What do you want for Christmas? What do you want? Anything like that? They're like, just money. I just want some money. Just give me some money. So maybe you could use some free money. Come on, somebody. But I'm gonna draw this out. We're gonna give this away before we get into what I believe God wants to speak to us today. Let me get these shuffled up really good. And if you didn't get your name in here for some reason, then if you want to stick around for the next service, you can and put your name in the drawing. And if you get up after this portion of the 11:15 service, then we will know why you were here. Come on, somebody. All right, so we've got a winner for 9:30, and it is Brent Wilburn. Where you at, Brent Wilburn? I saw him get up. Where's he at? He's sneaking through the curtain. All right, let's give him a hand. Hey. All right. Well, we're going to get into the word here in just a moment. Before we do that, we've got a few announcements and things that you need to be aware of. So if you'll turn your attention to the screen.
Happy Father's Day, Impact, and welcome. We are so glad you chose to be with us today. Here at Impact, we don't give to the church, but through the church. And we have 3 ways you can do that. You can give in one of our black offering boxes located at Impact Central. You can go online at yourimpactchurch.com/give, or you can text any amount to 84321.
Hey guys, we're a couple of your student leaders. I'm David and this is Christy.
If you're from the grades from 6 to 12, we meet here at the Wi-Fiers building every Wednesday from 6 to 8. We play games, we have food, and we worship Jesus, and it's a good time.
Summer iGroups have already kicked off, but it's not too late to join. We're going for 6 weeks, and you can go online at yourimpactchurch.com/iGroups and check out all the groups and see which one you want to jump into. We can't wait to see you in a group this summer. If you want to discover the vision of Impact Church and find out how you can get involved, the next steps is for you. Join us June 30th from 5 to 7 at 515 Bunker Street. You can sign up at Impact Central. Our huge annual community-wide serve day is coming up July 13th from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. This gives us an opportunity to come together and make a huge impact on the community and be a huge blessing. You can sign up today at yourimpactchurch.com/serve for which group you want to serve on. We can't wait to see you there and make a huge impact on the community. Ladies, we are going to have a pool party at Susan McIntyre's home in Brookston, Texas on June 21st at 7 p.m. So bring a finger food, get ready to relax, and hang out by the pool. Again, thank you all so much for joining us today, and happy Father's Day, dads. We love you all.
All right. You still doing good? Well, happy Father's Day again. We are excited about ladies getting together this Friday night for a swim party, a pool party, and bring something just to snack on. We also have groups that we talk about a lot, iGroups that are going on right now. They just began here in the last couple of weeks. And so we have a short 6-week summer semester that we want you to be a part of that will end with our serve day on July 13th. And you can actually go to yourimpactchurch.com/serve and sign up for the team that you want to be on that day when we're serving all across our community. And then one thing that's coming up here in a couple of weeks is Next Steps. Many of you, maybe you've heard of this. You've heard us talk about it before, but you've never been, or maybe this is your first time to hear of this, but it's something that we do as a church to basically be able to share the vision of the church with you, help you figure involved if you're ready to get involved and different things like that. And it's a really great time. We talk about a lot of good stuff that evening for a couple of hours. And so that's on June the 30th. So Sunday evening, June the 30th at 5 p.m. If you want to mark that down, if you've never been to that, we encourage you to go through that. Even if you've been going to church here for 2 years, you've never been through Next Steps, it would be great for you to go through Next Steps and just really get the heart behind why we do what we do and the vision and all of those things so that you can really join with us and make an impact in our community and in our city. Amen. And then the last thing before we get into the message today is last year we did this as well, but this year we're going to do it again. We're partnering with Christian Fellowship Church to go in together and do a thing called VBX this year. And so it's July the 14th, I believe, is the week that'll be going on. And so we are looking for, if you want your kids to be a part of that VBS or VBX, as we're calling it this year, then you can be looking. We'll have some forums here next weekend where you can begin signing up your kids to go. We want to put a bug in your ear today, but you can sign your kids up to be a part of that. And we're also looking for some volunteers. And so we're going to provide volunteers. They're going to provide volunteers. And all together, we're going to provide a pretty cool experience for kids to be a part of. So keep that in mind. In mid-July, you'll want to be a part of that. And if you'd like to volunteer, be sure and let us know. Write it on your Connect card that you want to volunteer for that. And we would love to have you be a part that week. And so it's going to be an awesome week. A lot of stuff going on this summer. And we're excited that you're with us for Summer at Impact, June, July, and August. Man, we're just having a good time. And we've been in this series that we called Staycation. And today we're going to continue in that series, but I have a message that is specific. It's specific for Father's Day. I believe God gave me this message several months back, and I've been waiting and holding on to it, waiting to preach it today. But even if you're not a dad, even if you're not even a male in the room today, there is something that you can get out of this. And these principles, what's so cool about this is that these principles, they apply to fathers, but they also apply to people in general. And so if you just want to be a better person, you want to be somebody that is going after God more, these are going to be areas in your life that anybody can apply today. And so I'm excited about this. And what we've been doing in this series is we've been talking about how we can live life on mission, how we can actually accomplish the things that God wants us to accomplish and not just have our own agenda. Are you with me? Not just try to do it our way and do it the way that we want to and just kind of set our own pace and all these things, but to actually say, God, what is the mission that you have us on as a church? What is the mission that you have for me that I'm supposed to be on as a dad, as a mom, as a spouse, as a follower of Jesus? And so that's what we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, and I just want to catch us up to speed before we jump into our topic today. That in part one, we talked on this subject. We called the message, "This is Real Life." And we said it this way, if we were going to sum it up in one sentence. Do we have that? Many times what we view as interruptions are actually opportunities God is giving us to experience real life. So a lot of times what we would call real life, and our real life is being interrupted, the interruptions are actually opportunities that God is trying to provide so that we can experience the real life, because God cares about people. God cares about people. And then in week 2, part 2, last weekend, we preached a message called Channel Your Inner Child. Channel Your Inner Child. And a couple of questions that kind of went along with this message is, do you really believe that kids matter to God? We read a passage of scripture where the kids were coming, the parents were bringing their kids, and the kids were coming to Jesus, and the disciples were trying to stop. They didn't feel like it was the right thing to do. And Jesus said, no, these kids matter. And then he went on to say something that is really in this question. Do you really believe that all things are possible with God? Because Jesus went on to say that in order for God to really have control of your life, in order for you to really enter the kingdom of heaven, you have to actually become like this little child. The child that you're trying to keep from getting to me, you actually need to learn something from them. Because kids believe that all things are possible. Kids believe that anything is possible, that that there's no limits. And so our question last week was, do you really believe that all things are possible with God? And today, as we enter into part 3 of this series, I want to preach a special message that I'm calling Meant to Be. Meant to Be. If you're taking notes, the title today is Meant to Be. And I want to talk today about how what we are meant to be as fathers. And like I said, even if you're not a father in the room, or maybe you're a spiritual father to someone, or maybe you're a lady that's here today, I believe these are principles that every single one of us can apply, and it will help you tremendously. So a question for all of us fathers in the room, whether you have been a spiritual father at some point, or a father and your kids are grown, or a father and your kids are young like mine are right now, how many of you would agree that sometimes being a father or being a dad is hard work? Anybody with me today? Y'all are all super spiritual and you just feel like, I just got this thing figured out. Sometimes being a dad is complicated. Sometimes being a good father is difficult. Sometimes things happen that cause you to wonder, am I really cut out for this? I don't know if I'm the only one who ever feels this way in the room today. Like, am I really, like, what did I do? Maybe you remember that time whenever you had your first kid and you're holding the baby for the first time, and a couple of days go by and you kind of look in the mirror, or you look at your spouse or whoever, and you're like, what did I do? Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I can't believe they let me take this human home from the hospital. I don't even know what I've never been in this position before. It can be difficult. It can be difficult sometimes. Sometimes we feel like we're failing. I don't know if you've ever been there. Or sometimes, you're trying to be even maybe a spiritual father, and sometimes that's difficult. And why does it feel difficult at times? I was thinking about this last week. Why sometimes do I feel, and do you feel like being a dad, being a father, being in this position, in this role is difficult? I jotted down a few things. That number one, it's messy. It's messy physically. Come on, somebody. And it's messy. It messes with your life. It messes with your sleep. It messes with the way that you see things. It messes with your routine. It's just messy sometimes. Another reason I believe that we feel like it's difficult at times is because people are unpredictable. Come on, especially kids. People in your life, people are just unpredictable. You never know. You ever been just hanging out with somebody and you're really enjoying your time, and then the next time you get together, like a few days later, you get together and you're like, I don't even know who you are right now. Like, you're a completely different person. People are unpredictable. Sometimes, it's difficult because you're not always sure what to say. Maybe sometimes situations are just hard, or maybe it's because you didn't have a good example of what a good father or a good dad looked like growing up. And maybe you're just trying to figure it out as you go because you didn't have that modeled for you as you were growing up. No matter where you come from today, what you've experienced growing up, or how you feel right now, or how you felt even in the past, I want to encourage you with this statement today, and it's that you can be the father that you were meant to be. You can be the father that you were meant to be. The father, the person that God created you to be, you can actually be that. All hope is not lost today because you screwed up last week. Because you weren't who you really feel like now. You look back at the last 5 years and you think, wow, I was not the person or the dad or the friend or the husband or the whatever that I should have been over the last 5 years. But here's the good news today. You can still be the person, the father, the husband, the wife. You can still be the person that God created you to be, the person that you were meant to be. And I thought it would only be appropriate today on Father's Day. We're going to read quite a few scriptures together. 9, I believe, in fact, that I want to read to you to encourage all the fathers today. Just with some good Maybe you've read these before. Maybe you've never read these before. Maybe you've never even heard of this before. But maybe in one or more of these scriptures, it will be some kind of an encouragement to you in your life. In Proverbs 20 and verse 7, says, the godly walk with integrity. Blessed are their children who follow them. The godly walk with integrity. Blessed are their children who follow them. Deuteronomy 6, verses 6 through 9. And you must commit yourselves wholeheartedly to these commands that I am giving you today. Repeat them again and again to your children. Talk about them when you are at home and when you are on the road, when you are going to bed and when you are getting up. Tie them to your hands and wear them on your foreheads as reminders. Write them on the doorpost of your house and on your gates. Joshua 24:15. But if you refuse to serve the Lord, I love this one, then choose today who you will serve. Joshua is saying, listen, if you're not going to serve God, I can almost sense this frustration in Joshua. Anybody ever been frustrated? I can almost sense like this frustration, and he's like, listen, if you're not going to serve God, then just go ahead and pick who you're going to serve and quit doing it halfway and this and that. Pick who you're going to serve. And then choose today whom you will serve. Would you prefer the gods your ancestors served beyond the Euphrates, or will it be the gods of the Amorites whose land you live in now? But as for me, come on, we know this. We have this on coffee cups. We have this on T-shirts. We see this on Facebook. We put this as our wallpaper on our phone. I don't know if we believe it or not, but we've got it posted everywhere. But as for me and my family, we will serve the Lord. I love what Joshua says. He basically says, listen, I don't care what you do. I'm trying to help you, and I'm trying to explain to you that, hey, listen, you need to be serving God. But if you're not going to serve God, just go ahead and choose who you're going to serve. But let me just let you know up front, as for me and my wife and my kids and my family, we will serve the Lord. Come on, some of us just need to declare that today on Father's Day 2019, that, hey, as for me and my family, I don't care what's going on around me. I don't care what their life looks like. I don't care what they're doing. I don't care where they've been. I don't care if they think I'm weird. As for me and my family, or as some translations say, me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Proverbs 3, verses 11 and 12. My child, don't reject the Lord's discipline, and don't be upset when he corrects you, for the Lord corrects those he loves, just as a father corrects a child in whom he delights. Psalm 127, verses 3 through 5. Children are a gift from the Lord. They are a reward from him. Children born to a young man are like arrows in a warrior's hands. How joyful is the man whose quiver is full of them. He will not be put to shame when he confronts his accusers at the city gates. Proverbs 22:6. Direct your children onto the right path, and when they are older, they will not leave it. Come on, can we just take a moment and say that again? Direct your children onto the right path. And here's what the proverb says. And when they are older, they will not leave it. Some of us in the room today are thinking, oh, dear God, what are my kids doing? If you directed them on the right path, you need to stand on the word of God that says, because I directed them in the right way, that even when they get older, at some point, it's going to come back around. At some point, they're gonna figure it out. Come on, even we read this all the time, the prodigal son, he took off and the father had done the right thing and he had raised the kids right, and then the son just says, you know what, I want my inheritance now, and I'm going to go blow it and do all this stuff, and I'm going to live life my way. But guess what? It came back around. It all came back around. The God finally gets through, and the son comes back home, and the father, welcomes him with open arms. And I just want to encourage you today that if you direct your children onto the right path, when they're older, they will not leave it. Ephesians 5, verses 25 through 28 says, for husbands, this means love your wives, just as Christ loved the church. He gave up his life for her, to make her holy and clean, washed by the cleansing of God's word. He did this to present her to himself as a glorious church without a spot or wrinkle or any other blemish. Instead, she will be holy and without fault. In the same way, husbands ought to love their wives as they love their own bodies, for a man who loves his wife actually shows love for himself. Ephesians 6 and verse 4 says, "Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger by the way you treat them. Rather, bring them up with the discipline and instruction that comes from the Lord." 1 Corinthians 16 verses 13 and 14 says, "Be on guard, stand firm in the faith, be courageous, be strong, and do everything with love." Do everything with love. If there's nothing else, as we get into a few points that I want to make today, if there's nothing else that you hear today, I want you to hear that you are not too far gone. You have not messed up too much. It doesn't disqualify you what your past looks like. That you can be the person, the father, the husband, whatever that role is for you. You can be the one that God has meant for you to be. And so with the rest of our time, I want to give you 6 attributes. Usually I give you 2 or 3. And you're like, wow, 6. That I want to give you. And these are attributes of a father that I believe that God created and meant for us to be. And as I go through these, like I said, it doesn't matter if you're a dad or not today. Like these are life principles that you can apply in every season. It doesn't matter what you're walking through right now. These can apply to you. And to do this, to make it easy on us, taking notes today, I'm going to take the word father and we're going to spell out, we're going to use it as an acronym. And we're going to give 6 things that I believe are attributes that we should have in our lives. Attributes of a good father, the father that you were meant to be. Here's number 1, F, faithful. Faithful. A godly father, a godly example, a godly spouse, a godly, whatever that looks like for you, is a person that is faithful. Almost anyone can be a father, but being a faithful father is something that requires effort. I'm going to say it again because I don't think you heard me. Almost anybody can be a father, but to be a faithful father, it actually requires effort. Are you with me today? There's some effort that has to be put forth to be faithful. It requires wisdom. It requires prayer. It requires effort toward being there for your children through the good times and the bad times. That no matter what they do, no matter what that person in your life does, no matter what your kids do, no matter what your spouse, that you are going to be faithful. It's being faithful when they're behaving and when they're not. I don't know if I need to say that again. It's being faithful when they're behaving and when they're not. It's being faithful when you're in the restaurant and they're getting on your nerves. It's being faithful. It's being faithful when you told them to do their homework and it's 9 o'clock at night and they ain't done it yet and you're mad and frustrated. It's being faithful. It's putting effort for. It's being there for them when they're young and growing up, and it's also being there for them through their crazy teenage years. Come on, somebody. Some of y'all that have kids that have already been through that, you're like, thank God that's over, right? The rest of us that our kids aren't there yet, we're like, oh my gosh, I remember what I was like when I was that age, and Lord have mercy, be gracious on me when my kids get to that age, right? It's being faithful through every season. No matter what age, no matter what season you're in, it's being faithful. It's being faithful to pray for them daily, even when you don't feel like it. Come on, I said even when you don't feel like it. I said even when you don't feel like it. I said even when you don't feel like it. It's going into the room at night after they've gone to bed and saying a prayer over them. It's taking a moment to pray for your family every single morning before you head off to work. It's faithful. Faithful. There'll be days when you just want to take a nap. But I believe faithful fathers are the ones who will give up the nap sometimes to invest in their kids. To be there for their kids when you don't feel like it. When you're worn out from the day that you just experienced, but your kids need something from you in the evening time and you're willing to invest in them because you understand they're only going to be this age for so long. And I've only got a limited amount of time to invest in them. So I'm going to be faithful. I got to hurry. A, The next one, A, is for action. Action. Sometimes you have to get your hands dirty in the role of being a father. Sometimes you have to do some things that you may not even want to do. I remember watching the movie Courageous. I don't know how many of you have seen that movie, but it's a Christian movie. I don't know. It's probably been 4 or 5 years ago now when it came out, but it was all based on this idea of being a dad, being a father, and this storyline. And I would highly encourage you to get it, rent it, go buy it, whatever you want to do. But there came a point in the movie where the dad, and if you haven't seen it, I'm going to try not to spoil it to you, but you've had 5 years to see it. So, if you hadn't seen it yet, then you can just watch it anyway. But but there comes a point to where the dad is going through a tough situation, and his son is older, and he realizes, I haven't been spending time with him. I haven't invested in his life. I haven't been doing what I should have been doing as a dad. And so he starts taking an interest in the things that his kid is interested in. Instead of trying to get his kid to do all the stuff that he wants to do, hey, what is my son interested in? And I'm going to become interested in that, and I'm going to use that to spend time with him. And so he does things like running and things like that he really doesn't want to do and hasn't had a desire to do, but it's something that his son enjoys, and he's investing. He's taking action. He's not waiting for that person to come to them. He's not waiting for the kids to finally, quit acting up and then I'll start investing in your life. No, he's taking action. Maybe it's helping a child complete a school project, or maybe it's building a tree house together. Maybe it's running a 5K with them because that's something they're passionate about. Maybe it's going out with your younger kids and jumping on the trampoline, or maybe you just like doing that yourself as an adult. I don't know. Maybe it's playing games together in the evening time, setting aside a night a week to where this is going to be our family night, and we're going to play games together. We're going to have conversations. We're just going to spend some time together. Maybe it's doing a Bible lesson or a devotional with them each and every day. What are you doing to actually take action? Maybe you've got the faithful part down, but are you actually doing something to invest in the relationship with them? Are you doing something that is taking an interest in what they are passionate about so that you can spend time with them? Take action. Here's the third one. T is for teacher. Talking about these attributes of a good father: faithful, one that takes action, and a teacher. How many of you know life is full of lessons? That applies to adults as well as children, that life, we're always learning something. A lot of times we learn from a failure. We learn from somewhere where we messed up and we're learning something. How many of you know that in the role of a dad, in the role of a father, in the role of a spiritual leader, in the role of whatever it is for you, of spouse, that sometimes there are moments that are teachable moments. And a lot of times I think we miss opportunities that God is trying to provide to us to teach our kids something, or to teach that person something, or to have a conversation that needs to be had. And we miss those moments because we don't pay attention to them. And I think we need to be on the lookout for the teachable moments, no matter what the situation is, when it's convenient and when it's not convenient. Because how many of you know 95% of the time it's not going to be convenient? If you're waiting on it to be convenient, you'll probably be waiting a long time. It's being intentional to look for the teachable moments. And I believe that God will open doors for you to speak truth into your children, but you need to be ready to actually do it when the opportunity presents itself, that you're ready to do it. And I think, sometimes the strange thing is that our kids are looking for us to speak truth into their lives, even though they don't want us to believe that. I can remember growing up, and when you're growing up, and you remember this, and when you're a teenager and all this, and you don't really want the advice, you don't really want the wisdom, you don't really want those things in your life, but really you do. And a lot of times we get a little bit older and we look back and we're like, wow, I wish that my parents would have told me about that. I wish that they would have kept me from that. I wish that they would have said something in that moment. I wish that they would have been able to walk me through that situation. I wish that. And the reason that we look back on it now and we say that is because in the moment we actually wanted something that we were trying to convince ourselves and our parents and everybody else around us that we really didn't want or didn't need. But we really did need it. And it shows whenever we're about 25, whenever we're about 37. And we're like, wow, if somebody would have told me back then, maybe I wouldn't be going through what I'm going through now. We got to be intentional to teach. There's security in a child when you're investing and teaching them things about life. So teacher, here's the H. H stands for holy. Holy. And I know what you're thinking, like, I can't be holy. Can't be holy. And I know this is a tall order, because really God's the only one that is holy. But I think it's something for us to strive for, and something for us to set a bar higher. Come on, some of us just need to raise the bar a little bit. We're just not even, we've got the bar so low so that we can hit it all the time that we're not really even doing anything for the kingdom of God. We're not really investing in anything for the kingdom of God. We're not really investing in our relationship. We're not really investing in our finances. We're not really investing in our kids, because we've got the bar here. And some of us just need to raise the bar and say, you know what? God's called me to something higher as a spouse. God's called me to something more as a parent. God's called me to more than what I'm doing right now. And we just need to raise the bar a little bit. I believe that holiness is a mark for us to shoot for. And that your children, or those people in your lives, they're looking for a godly example in you. They're looking to your life to show them what it's supposed to be like. You are the example. You are the example. And I believe that there's some weight that comes with that, but we need to be reading and studying God's word and spending time with him so that we'll know what the standard is for our family. So many of us, we don't even know. If somebody was to ask you, what's the standard for your family? What do you like? Where do you draw the line on things? What is okay and what's not okay? What has God called you to do? A lot of us wouldn't even be able to answer that question. We need to be spending time with God and in his word so that we can know, hey, this is the standard. This is what God has called us to do. This is the type of family that we're going to be. Come on, sometimes we don't do it all the time, but sometimes we'll remind our kids before they go to somebody's house or before they go do something like, you remember, you're a Miller. And we'll even make them repeat it sometimes, like, what's your last name? Mom, Dad. There needs to be a standard. There needs to be something that you're shooting for. If you don't know what you're aiming for, how can you lead anyone there? If you don't know what you want the end result to be, and how you want to lead your kids, and how you want to lead your spouse, and how you want to do it, like, how are you ever going to how are you going to know when you've arrived there? How are you going to know where you're even going if you don't know what that is? You got to know what you're aiming for so that you'll be able to lead someone else there. So holy, here's the E. E is for encouraging. You need to be encouraging. Just like you and me, your children or those people in your lives, they're not going to get it right all the time. Anybody in here ever gotten it right all the time? We need to talk after church today. If you've gotten it right every single time. Your kids are not going to get it right all the time. The people in your friends are not going to get it right all the time. Your spouse is not going to get it right all the time. But you need to be an encourager. Those people in your lives, your kids, they still need a cheerleader that wants to see them win. Anybody in the room today that just says, you know what, I really don't want anybody on my side cheering for me to win. That's just not something I want. I just want to walk through life alone, and I don't want anybody to be excited for what's going on. I don't want anybody to help me win. I just don't need that. We all want that. We all want that. The people in your life want that. Your kids want that. Somebody that's in their corner that wants to see them win. It's encouraging them during the good times and the bad times. That's what lets them know that things are going to be all right. It's when they make a good decision, you encourage them. When they make a bad decision, you encourage them. You teach them. Sometimes sharing personal stories of how you didn't always get it right can encourage someone else in their struggle. Sometimes we just need a Me Too moment. We need somebody to look us in the eye whenever we share something and just say, me too. Me too. Let me tell you about what happened in my life. And it's an encouragement for the struggle that you're going through, that somebody else has already been through something similar or been through that same situation or whatever. And it's like, oh, you made it through, and this is how you did it. And oh, man, that's so encouraging for me. We need to be encouraging. Encouraging. Anybody in here have a problem with criticizing yourself? We know how to criticize ourselves. We need some encouragement. You already know how to be hard on yourself. You need encouragement. We all have that down, but we need to learn the art of being encouraging, sharing our own personal stories to encourage someone else maybe in what they're going through. This is why it's important to study God's word so that you can let those people in your life know that there's going to be trials. Come on, we've read that, we've talked about this in multiple series, that the Bible says that there will be, hey, take heart, you're going to have trials. You're going to have problems. You're going to have struggles, but take heart because I've already overcome all that stuff. I've already overcome the whole world. And so we need to know that in our heart so that we can encourage people that, hey, even though you're going through something, God is for you. I am for you. You're going to make it. This is not the end. God's not done with you yet. We need to be encouraging the people in our lives. And here's the last one, the letter R, for role model. I want to bring the worship team back up. Role model. And here's the reality today with this idea of being a role model. It's you may be a good one or you may be a horrible one. But the fact is, you are one. You are one. If you have kids, you're a role model. If there's somebody that you're investing in their life, you're a role model. If there's some people that you're around that God has given you influence in their life, you are a role model. When you go to work, even if you're not the boss, you're still a role model. Even if you feel like you're on the bottom of the totem pole, you're still a role model. Every one of us have this calling. We have this thing on us that we are influencing somebody in our lives, whether it's in a good way or a bad way. You are a role model. And so you just have to make the decision that I already am one. So I need to choose to be a good one. I need to make decisions to be a good one because I'm already a role model. God has blessed you with the responsibility of being a father or being a mentor or being a spouse or whatever it is in your life, and you've been called to a higher purpose than what you were when you were single. Can I just preach on this for just a moment? When you were just taking care of you, there was not as much purpose on your life maybe than when you got married and you started having a family and you started a career, and now there's a higher standard and there's a higher purpose and there's a higher calling on your life because now you're investing in other people's lives and they're somewhat dependent upon the way that you live and the way that you show them how to live as to how they live their life when they get older. Anybody in here do something in your life because that's what your dad did? If you were to pick something out in your life, everybody in here could say, you know, if I was to ask you, why do you do that? That's just the way my parents did it. Why do you keep your house that way? That's just the way it was growing up. Why do you eat out all the time? Because that's what we did when we lived at home. Why do you cook dinner every night and spend that as a family? Because that's just what we did when I was growing up. We just always sat down and ate dinner together. We do that. That's a role model. You learned something from somebody in your life that has shaped the way that you do things in your life now. You have people in your life, and if you have kids and you have a spouse, you definitely have people in your immediate life that are looking at you every day. And you've got to make the decision. I'm already a role model. I just got to decide I want to be a good one. And I'm going to be the best role model that I can be for the people that are in my life. Will you stand to your feet today? How can you be a godly role model for your kids or for your spouse or for the people in your life or the people that you're investing in? How do we become a faithful, active, teaching, holy, encouraging role model for the people in our lives, for our kids, and for the people that we're investing our life in? And I want to end with this because I believe this is the glue that holds everything together. And God is even teaching me this more right now in my life, that the glue that holds all this together. If you want to pull all of this stuff off in your life, if you want to live this type of lifestyle, there's something that you've got to do every single day, and it's this right here. You've got to seek God. Come on, somebody say, seek God. Come on, say it like you believe it. Seek God. If I want to be faithful, I've got to seek God. If I want to be a good role model, I've got to seek God. If I want to be active in their life, I've got to seek God. If I want to know what the teachable moments are, I've got to be seeking God in every area. If I want to be holy, if I want to raise the bar and go up to this in my life, I've got to seek God. I've got to seek God like my life depends on it, because it does. Some of us were trying to do all of this in our own strength, and it's never gonna happen. You gotta seek God. Seek God, His wisdom, to help you become the father, or the husband, or the wife, or the employee, or the boss, or the friend that you were meant to be. You were meant to be. Will you bow your heads and close your eyes today? I want to bring our prayer team down to the front. We're going to sing one final song like we do every single weekend, and another opportunity for us to worship and lift our voices to God. But this is also an opportunity. This is also a moment where you can be prayed for, where you can encounter the presence of God again, where if you're going through something in your life, or you need direction, or you just need somebody to pray for you because you're facing something and you don't really know how to get to the other side. You don't really know what the next decision needs to be. You don't really know what's going to be the best thing to do. And you just say, you know what, today I just need some encouragement. I've been beating myself up and I need to be encouraged. I've been at a crossroads and I need to know which direction to go. And so I want somebody to pray for me. If that's you today, we would love to pray for you. There are going to be people down here at the front as the worship team begins to sing this last song. If you need prayer for anything in your life, I encourage you, don't be too prideful to come for prayer. We all need prayer at different times in our lives. So if you need prayer for anything in your life, when the worship team begins to sing, you can slip out of your seat and come down for prayer. If that's not you today, then I encourage you one final time, let's lift our hands, lift our voices. Maybe you want to close your eyes, but let's just declare in this place today that God is faithful, that God is good, and that He is everything that we need. So God, today, right now, we thank you for what you've spoken to us today. We thank you for this moment to pray together, to worship you. And God, we give you all the praise, honor, and glory in Jesus' name. Amen.